All right. So, this is the biggest review that I will have to do for the rest of the season. On Saturday, I will have a 12-game night. Tonight, it's 14. So, buckle yourselves in. I have no idea how long this is going to take. I know that the early games, there was 9 of them that started at the same time and then 2 that started an hour later, so I kept track of what I could. I know there were a lot of injuries that aren't on these boards. A lot of stuff that'll be in the news video for tomorrow, and we've still got, 7 games tomorrow? So this is the busy time. This is when all of the teams are going to be very, very tired. This is, I think, part of the reason why we haven't found out what's going to happen with when the playoffs start, what the playoff start date's going to be. And some of it may very well be waiting until the Canucks and the Flames are both officially eliminated from the playoffs, and then those games between Calgary and Vancouver can technically take place while the playoffs have started. As awkward as that sounds, that may be the way that they go with it. And I mean, even in the North, playoffs for all 4 divisions would start while there's still some regular season games to be played. All right. It's a different year. Dallas. Dallas needed a win tonight. They desperately needed a win tonight. They don't get it. And again, when all those games in hand, they started kind of frittering that away a little bit, and Nashville was still playing so well, I knew that their chances were getting slimmer and slimmer that they were going to make it. So early on, this game turns against them. It's Huberdeau from Tippett and Yandel at 1:53, and then less than a minute later, Gusev, who's starting to pick it up in Florida, scores from Montour at 2:42, and then Keith Yandel almost made it 3-0 right after that. So they were just swarming to start this game. Como and Gudas then had a fight. Como, they decided, was the instigator of said fight, so he gets the extra 2. Then there's nearly a 3-0 score at 9 minutes, but the puck ends up landing on top of the net. Otherwise, yeah, that would have been in. Stars get a power play, and they score on it. It's Pavelski from Hintz and Robertson at 12:04. But not too long after that, Uyghur with a fast transition goal from Tippett and Denisenko at 14:13 restores the 2-goal lead. They do get it back. Rope Hintz from an awkward angle, and it's in off Knight's leg at 17:16. They all count. They all count the same. So that makes it 3-2, and then we have a late power play for the Panthers. Well, early in the second, they score. It's Forsling from Denisenko and Barkov at 45 seconds. Now that's after the power play had ended, but that also ends the night of Anton Khudobin. Dallas decides, all right, and whether they're going to blame Khudobin or whether this is just a matter of trying to change the fortunes of the team, they make the goaltending change. Stars would then get a power play. That was a no. Last minute of that period, the Panthers get a power play. Jamie Benn went to the box, and he smashed the camera. And it wasn't just that he hit it once with his stick and it broke. He hit it 3 times before it broke. I don't know what the protocol is with that. I would think the National Hockey League would phone a player after that and say, so you decided to take out the camera, huh? You're paying for the camera. I would think that's what happens there. Third period, the Stars would complete that kill. Ben, as far as I know, didn't go get a new camera in between periods. I don't like seeing players do that. I understand being angry, but it just comes off as poor sportsmanship, and then it's going to be a gif everywhere. Kivi Ranta scores early in that period, though, from Caro, I should say, and Alexiak at 3:55. And then at 4:06 is Tyler Seguin. First game back, he scores from Guryanov at 4:06. And Dallas and Florida end up playing through the rest of the period without any more damage being done. So 4-4 is the score going to the overtime. In overtime, Ottinger robbed Forsling. Duclair had a breakaway. He was denied. And then with 2:39 left, the Panthers get a power play. It's so dangerous and lethal to give a 4-on-3 power play to the Florida Panthers, and it is lethal. Barkov scores the power play marker from Yandel and Uyghur at 2 minutes and 50 seconds, so it doesn't take long for the power play to strike, and Florida wins this one 5-4 in overtime. They go to 35, 14, and 5, and Dallas racking up the overtime loss points at a time where they don't need them. 21, 17, and 14. They drop further off the pace behind Nashville, and the odds of them making the playoffs just get that much longer. Again, they are no longer in control of their destiny. They need teams to beat Nashville now. Shots are 3 stars in this one. Barkov, Tippett, and Seguin, or BTS. Well played. Shots, 14-12 Florida in the first, 13-10 Florida in the second, 9-7 Florida in the third. In the overtime, 7-0 Florida. So Final shots 43-29 for Florida. Power plays, Dallas 1 for 2, Florida 1 for 4. Hits 33-23 for Dallas. Blocked shots 17-9 for Florida. Hudobin saves 11 out of 15 before he's replaced by Ottinger, who saved 27 out of 28. I've said all year I think Ottinger's a better goalie than Hudobin, and I think this bears that out. Spencer Knight saves 25 out of 29 at the other end of the ice, and he gets himself another win. Spencer Knight just racking them up. Probably thinking, why is it goalies wait so long for their first 3 wins? I got no problem. All right, next up. All right, so tonight was the night of Michael Hauser, right? His first game, and he's like their 6th-string goaltender, and he's wearing his Rochester Americans helmet. And it was just, everything about tonight's game was just awkward. It's just weird. So, and I would have worn a Buffalo jersey, but I thought, no, there's a reason I should wear Ottawa. So the shots were 6-4 for the Islanders at 6 minutes. The Islanders come out very well, and at 9:15, Pelech scores from Bailey and Beauvillier. The Sabres would get a power play before that period's out, but it's 1-0 after 1. And there really wasn't a whole lot else to say other than the Islanders look like the better team, and they look like they're probably going to win it, right? Because Buffalo has been on a bit of a drop lately. Second period, the Islanders score. It was challenged for goalie interference, and guess what? It came off the board. Islanders then press at 4 minutes. The posts were also working in the Islanders' favor, and keep in mind there's that long shutout streak for Varlamov. Wahlstrom would score from Pelech and Palmieri at 10:42. Who saw Pelech getting a goal and an assist tonight? Not many. So Wahlstrom with that goal, and yeah, things look good for the Islanders. Sabres then get a power play. Varlamov making some really big saves during that power play, but he can't save them all. Tage Thompson breaks the shutout streak at 248 plus minutes from Bryson and Ristolainen at 14:04. So that's your longest shutout streak now for Islanders history. Varlamov at a little over 248 minutes. Good job for him, and good job for Buffalo on breaking the shutout streak. The Islanders then get a power play. Hauser would save a Palmieri tip, but we go to the third period as 2-1 Islanders. And again, I'm fully expecting the Islanders to lock this down. Shots were 5-2, though, for the Sabres at 7 minutes. The Sabres come out looking pretty sharp. Not only that, but Asplund scores from Reinhart and Thompson at 11:25, and what was kind of a nice 3-way pass to set that up. So Asplund gets a goal and ties it up. The Islanders then press with 6.5 minutes left. I'm still expecting the Islanders to get a goal and win this, because they know that in the East, this race is getting tighter and tighter. However, Reinhart scores from Ristolainen at 15:56. If you're a Buffalo fan and you were in attendance, you probably couldn't believe what you were watching. This was a team that was down 2-0 against an Islanders team that is notoriously stingy defensively. So the goalie gets pulled with 1 minute and 45 seconds left. The empty netter, Reinhart at 19:08. Yep, Sam Reinhart with a couple of goals, and Buffalo wins at 4-2. They go to 14-32-7. The Islanders 31-16-5. That loss hurts, drops them down in the standings, right? 3 stars: Hauser, Thompson, and Reinhart. Yeah, all 3 of them are Buffalo Sabres. Shots were 11-9 in the first, favor the Islanders, and then they favor the Sabres. 14-10 in the second, 17-15 in the third. Final shots 40-36 for Buffalo. Islanders 0-for-1 on the power play. Buffalo 1-for-3. Hits 20-13 Islanders. Block shots 15-4 for Buffalo. Varlamov saves 36 out of 39, and Hauser, first NHL win, 34 saves on 36 shots. Good for him. It's always nice to see when a team brings in a goaltender who might be an unknown, maybe he's a lifetime minor league goaltender, that he comes in and has this kind of performance. And the team really rallied, and not only that, but after the win, you saw them all kind of swarm him and congratulate him on that first win. That's a nice experience for a team that has got 14 wins on the season. It's a nice thing to see, and good for Buffalo on that one. So, Boston. This is the test. This is the test I was kind of waiting for. Boston all year has struggled to score even strength goals against New Jersey, and I don't know what it is. But it looked like early on it might happen again. So the shots were 8-0 for the Bruins at 7 minutes. Scott Wedgwood, playing like he thinks he's Blackwood, he was the reason that it was scoreless at that point in the game and throughout that first period. Absolutely great game by Wedgwood. Lots of Bruins shots, but no goals. And this is the thing. 5-on-5 goals have been elusive for Boston against the New Jersey Devils. And it's been a problem all year. And it's been weird. So I wanted to see, all right, so is it going to continue tonight? Heischer had a break. Tuukka Rask made the save. Rask had a very good game. Not an overly busy game. I'm not going to pretend that he was really, really busy, but when he needed to, he made the saves. Second period, better start for the Devils. Kuokkanen was denied by Rask. However, after that decent start, 8 minutes into the period, the shots were still 7-2 for the Bruins. So the good start for the Devils, it gets overwhelmed. And then Nick Ritchie would score from Zboril and Kuraly at 9 minutes and 8 seconds. So look out for that, right? Wood would then cause a turnover by Tuukka Rask behind the net. No harm, no foul on that. And Bergeron scores from Marchand at 17:54. It's 2-0 Boston after 2. And again, those are 2 5-on-5 goals. And that's what I've been looking for from Boston, is that their 5-on-5 scoring is improving. And it definitely is. Third period, Rask made saves early. He saved a Zaka shot, which was wired for the net. Kuokkanen then had a chance that was stopped as well. AJ Greer, welcome to the lineup, and he has a fight with Clifton. Bruins would then get a power play. That was a no. Devils get a power play. Also a no. Those were the only power plays in the game. And then Grzelcyk ices it for Marchand and Bergeron at 17:17 of the third period. The Boston Bruins defeat the New Jersey Devils, go to 31-14-6. So they're now 1 point ahead of the Islanders. They're now third in the division. New Jersey drops to 17-28-7. And with that win, Boston has clinched a spot in the playoffs. And that officially eliminates the Rangers. 3 stars, Bergeron, Wedgwood, and Rask. So Wedgwood does get into the 3 stars. Shots, 17-4 Boston in the first and 20-5 Boston in the second. 11-5 New Jersey in the third. Final shots, 42-20 for Boston. Both teams 0 for 1 on the power play. Hits, 18-7 for Boston. Block shots, 12-9 for Boston. Rask saves all 20 shots for his 52nd career shutout. And Wedgwood, 39 saves on 42 shots at the other end of the ice. Just no goal support for Wedgwood. And in New Jersey, that's been a problem this year. But yeah, to me, that's a big win for Boston. This is a team that's given them trouble all year, and they beat them. And they only got 1 goal from the top line, technically, although Grzelcyk got the assists from the top line. So it's fine. It's fine. They're definitely getting better. Next up, Capitals and Rangers. So I know this game created some reactions. I've already seen comments on other videos. Did you see? Look, I'm not getting into whatever else may have happened in this game. I know there were some extracurriculars. We'll see. So, just going to talk about the scoring plays and whatnot. Caps get a power play early on. The shots were actually 10-4 in their favor with 8 minutes left. They were definitely the sharper team in the first period. Dowd scores from Hagelin and Hathaway at 14-12 to drive that point home, and then they would score again. It's Sherry from Raffle and Wilson at 15-44. Michael Raffle with a good game tonight for Washington gets into the 3 stars. But before the period's out, it's Mika Zibanejad, who's so dangerous. Scores from Panarin and Buchnevich at 18 minutes. So it's 2-1, Washington after 1. Second period. Rangers get an early power play. They do score on it. It's Mika Zibanejad scoring from Strome and Panarin at 2 minutes and 30 seconds. And then no sooner can you say that's happened than about 2 minutes later, Kakko scores. I told you he's heating up. From Lafreniere, who's also heating up. And Rooney at 4:35. So that makes it 3-2 for the Rangers. And the Rangers go right back to the power play. Look out. However, there was a too many men call. The Caps would get a power play out of that. They don't score on that, but Hathaway ties up the game from Dowd at 18 minutes and 30 seconds. So we go to the third, and it was pretty evenly played until Brendan Smith with a giveaway. Didn't see Sprong there. Should have seen Sprong there. Sprong gets the goal at 4:37. That makes it 4-3. And then Backstrom scores from Raffle and Jensen at 11 minutes and 41 seconds. That's 2 assists for Michael Raffle. And then the empty netter. It's Tom Wilson from John Carlson at 18:34. The Caps win 6-3 in this one, and they go to 33-14-5. The Rangers drop to 26-21-6. And again, the Rangers now officially eliminated from the playoffs. Your 3 stars in this one, Sprong, Dowd, and Raffle. Shots in this one, 15-10 Washington in the first. Both teams had 11 shots in the second, and the Washington Capitals in the third really take over, 14-5. The final shots, 40-26 for Washington. Power plays, Washington only had the 1. They didn't score on it. The Rangers had 4, and they scored once. Hits, 20-16 for Washington. Both teams had 8 blocked shots. That's kind of low, but it happens. Vanacek saves 23 out of 26, and Shesterkin, 34 out of 39. So again, the Rangers now are looking forward to next year. You've got a lot of young kids there. You've got a good young goaltender. A lot of encouraging signs that the New York Rangers are going to be a good team next season. This season, though, they just end up falling short. And again, we can all have that discussion of, well, if the Rangers were in that division, they would have made it. But again, we'll never know because the divisions all go back to normal next year. And that being said, I now need to change boards. So, in the what the hell happened portion of tonight's show, seriously, what happened here? So, Pittsburgh comes in, kind of red hot, playing really, really well. And Philly said, we don't see the big deal here. We're really not quite sure where everybody's making a big deal about Pittsburgh. So, Kevin Hayes scores from Farabee and Voracek at 5:58. Flyers then get a power play. That did not succeed. DeSmith denied a really dangerous chance in front of the net. One which actually kind of bounced off Dumoulin, still stopped it. Pens then nearly get the tie. The Flyers go back to the power play. They score. It's Gostisbehere from Konechny and Giroux at 14:08. Isn't it a good thing they didn't trade Gostisbehere? Because he's looked a lot better lately, hasn't he? Giroux would score from Konechny and Couturier at 15 minutes and 12 seconds. It's 3-0 for Philly. And so I'm watching this and going, I don't know what I've seen, but clearly since there's 11 games on in this when this one's in the second period, this is a game that I don't think I have to monitor too much. Allison adds to that from Lawton and Gostisbehere at 7 minutes and 40 seconds. Yeah, so it's 4-0. Again, 11 games on at the same time, right? Malkin and Lawton would get roughing calls at 17:52, makes it a 4-on-4. There's a last-minute power play for the Pittsburgh Penguins as well, but we go to the third period. Penguins would get another early power play. And Crosby scores on that one from Letang and Malkin at 2 minutes and 30 seconds. And then the Pens go back to the power play. And it's like, okay, wait. Don't keep giving them power plays because they're Pittsburgh. And I know Pittsburgh's power play has been mediocre at times, but not lately. They got another chance as well, and it felt like the Flyers were letting him back in because they were. Zucker scores from Marino and Kapanen at 8:24. That's a power play marker. So 2 power play goals make it 4-2. And that's where I'm thinking, yeah, it feels like a Flyers game. They're ahead 4-0, and now it's 4-2, and maybe. However, Farabee scores from Voracek and Sanheim at 11 minutes and 37 seconds. Flyers would then get a power play after that. They don't score on it, but it takes 2 minutes off the clock. And then it's Giroux at 17:39, making it 6-2. And then it's Haig from Farabee and Voracek at 18:55. So, again, I'm not sure what I'm seeing here, but the final score is 7-2 in favor of the Philadelphia Flyers. They go to 23-22-7. Pittsburgh 34-16-3 with the loss. I'm sure for Flyers fans, they're thinking, this is great. Where was this a while ago? Lyon was the first star, second star Giroux, and third star Gostisbehere. Shots 20-11, Philadelphia in the first, 17-11, Philadelphia in the second, and 15-8 in favor of Pittsburgh in the third. Your final shots 35-20, or 45, I should say, to 37 in favor of the Flyers. Power plays, Pittsburgh 2 for 4. They almost let them back into it. Philadelphia 1 for 3 on their power plays. The hits, not as many hits as you would expect for a Battle of Pennsylvania. 18-16 Pittsburgh. Block shots 17-13 Pittsburgh. DeSmith saves 33 out of 37. Jari goes in. He saves 5 out of 7. And yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Should that be 5 out of 8? It doesn't matter. Lyon saves 35 out of 37 at the other end. He's really the story. It doesn't really matter how many Jari and DeSmith saved. I'm amazed that Philadelphia came out, because again, if they'd done this a few weeks ago, right? It's just so bizarre. Maybe they're just more fired up to play against Pittsburgh than they are against other teams in their division. No idea. If you have any theories and you're a Philly fan, by all means, let me know. What happened tonight? How did this happen tonight? And again, where was this a few weeks ago when they were tail spinning their way out of the playoffs? Bizarreness. All right, Chicago. So the Hawks in against Carolina. The Hawks with their very faint playoff hopes, I'm sure somewhere, but no. And it's a giant no after tonight. In Carolina, looking pretty good. Looking pretty darn good. Hamilton scores from Trocheck and Fogel at 6:33. The Hawks were held to 2 shots through 13 minutes. And while they were still at 2 shots, Necas scores from Trocheck and Bean at 13:34. That was the 7th shot for Carolina, and 2 of them had gone in already. Now, Subban, I'm not going to say he had a great night or anything, but I'm not going to put it on Subban. Just not. The Hawks would get a power play. They don't score on it. We go to the second period with the score 2-0 in favor of the Carolina Hurricanes. Early power play for the Canes. They don't score. However, not long after that's finished, Aho scores from Svechnikov and Shea at 4:42. The Canes then get another power play. They would score on that one. It's Aho who's getting closer to that hat trick here, isn't he? He scores from Hamilton and Stahl at 9:52. That makes it 4-0. Yeah. Mitchell would score before the period was out from Strome and Kubalik at 18:35. Makes it 4-1. We're going to the third period. The Hawks would get a power play. Canes would get one. The Hawks get... It was a parade in the third period, back and forth to the box. In the end, DeBrincat ends up getting a goal from Kubalik at 14 minutes and 38 seconds. Just sets up an empty netter. And who gets it? Sebastian Aho. He gets it from Fast at 18 minutes and 44 seconds. And he's clearly your first star, and he's the best player of the game. And that's bad news if for the rest of the league, if Aho's goal scoring is starting to reach this kind of level about a week out from the playoffs. Good timing. Your 3 stars, Aho, Hamilton, and Trocheck. Shots in this one, 7-4 in favor of Carolina in the first, 16-7 Carolina in the second, and 15-6 Carolina in the third. 38-17 overall. Chicago was 0 for 3 on the power play. Carolina 1 for 3. The hits, 26-24 for Carolina, so they outshot them by a lot and out-hit them. Block shots, 16-11 for Chicago. Subban saved 14 out of 18. He comes out of the game. Delia. Yes, Colin Delia. We haven't seen him since what, opening night? 19 saves on 19 shots. There you go. Delia's redemption story is complete. Nedeljkovic saves 15 out of 17. You're going to be a restricted free agent, Nedeljkovic. You should tell him, I think I can sit. I learned that I can make more money as a UFA than I can as an RFA. I'd like to sit this game. So yeah, Nedeljkovic, 15 saves on 17 shots. And for Carolina, 35, 10, and 7. Chicago drops to 22, 24, and 6. And yeah, quite impressive watching what Carolina's been able to do over the length of this season. And then the real test will come in the next couple of weeks. All right, next up, Nashville. They almost blew it. They did. They almost blew it. And I think it's interesting too. I was watching on Twitter today. They had the pregame availability to the media, and they had Emil Bemstrom of the Columbus Blue Jackets on Columbus's feed, and he talked about how he was, looking forward to getting his opportunities, this kind of stuff, just your standard stuff. But maybe I should go back and rewatch that because he had quite the night, didn't he? Shots were 9-7 for the Predators with 8 minutes left in the first period. This was a game that right off the hop I thought, yeah, Nashville's going to win this. I can't see Columbus finding the energy to beat them. Columbus would get a power play. There was a shorthanded break then for Haula, which missed wide. There was a late power play for Columbus as well. But we go to the second period. Their power plays come up with nothing. And at 4.5 minutes, Columbus had the only shot of the period. So it was a low opportunity second period until Forsberg scores from Ellis and Johansson at 9 minutes and 1 second. Predators would get a power play after that, and Johansson scores from Forsberg at 11:29. I think Nashville fans would be really excited if this is a sign Johansson's going to heat up. Columbus pressures with 3 minutes left. Doesn't end up going anywhere. And then Yossi in the last minute, he scores from Ellis and Cousins at 19:16. And the Predators would get a power play after that. So in the final minute of the period, they get a goal, they get a power play, they're up 3-0. Nothing to worry about. They're going to the third, they're up 3-0. It's Columbus, it's done. Except that it's not. Third period, Columbus completes the kill, and then it's Bemstrom from Roslovic and Del Zotto at 1 minute and 54 seconds, and they enjoyed that so much, Bemstrom gets another one, this time from Grigorenko and Del Zotto at 7 minutes and 26 seconds. Then Columbus gets power play, and they score on it, and it's Bemstrom completing the natural hat trick. Power play marker from Jones and Roslovic at 15:07. Roslovic with a couple of helpers, and Bemstrom with the natural hat trick. That's fantastic. Predators would get a power play. They don't score on it. In fact, we go to overtime. In overtime, it's all Nashville. Nashville just throwing the shots at Merzlikins, who of course still probably wants this season to be over so he can forget it. Yossi scores from Howla and Yarncroke at 3:24. Nashville wins this one in overtime. That's devastating if you're a Dallas fan, of course, because they get 1 point tonight. Nashville gets 2. Nashville 29-22-2 now. Columbus 16-25-12. So Columbus racking up overtime loss points, same as Dallas. We'll see who wins that battle. I'm gonna think my money's on Dallas. 3 stars, Bemstrom with the natural hat trick. Yossi with the game winner, and Forsberg having a great game as well. Nashville starting to get healthy and starting to look pretty good. Shots in this one, 11-10 Columbus in the first, 14-10 Nashville in the second, 11-9 in favor of Columbus in the third, and then all 5 shots in overtime belong to Nashville. Final shots, 38-32 for the Preds. Power plays, Nashville 1 for 4, Columbus 1 for 3. The hits, 21-13 Nashville. Blocked shots, each team had 11. Saros saves 29 out of 32. Merzlikins saves 34 out of 38. So for Columbus, the pain continues. For Nashville, they're going to get that 4th spot. To me, it's been obvious for a while, and I've never really wavered on that. Never really said, no, maybe not. They're going to get it. All right, next up, Toronto and Montreal. How much fun was this? I have to say, Cole Caulfield is kind of becoming a clutch player, isn't he? And I'm really glad that I've got a note on the board that I wrote that shows I kind of saw this coming. So Riley scores at 4:07 to make it 1-0 for Toronto. Toronto's very good when they score first. So Montreal's put themselves behind the 8 ball right out of the gate. The Habs would get a power play. Campbell, though, pretty sharp to that stage of the game. Habs then get another power play. Nope. We go to the second period. The Habs get their 3rd power play. It is also a no. Armia fired one wide. The Leafs were doing some good shot blocking, but then it's Toffoli on that power play, scoring from Suzuki and Petrie at 1:55. For Nick Suzuki, that is now a 6-game point scoring streak. Not too shabby. Way to go, kid. Leafs then get a power play. That led to a shorthanded chance for Lehkonen. Their power play. It's an 0 for again tonight. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is with the Leafs power play. I can't figure it out. Because they had another power play, and it failed as well. They had opportunities. You've got Matthews out there. You've got Marner. You've got Tavares. You've got good... Whoever's on the point's always a good shooter. I don't understand how to fix it. And it has to be frustrating for Toronto, because when we get into the playoffs, that may be the deciding factor as to whether or not they can move on to the next round. And whether that's in the first, in the second, wherever that is, at some point not having a power play can come back to bite you. The last team I can think of that didn't really have a very good power play that won a cup, the last one I can think of is 2011 Bruins, where it just didn't work. But hey, we'll see. The Leafs still have some time to figure this out. Matthews would score from Muzzin and Thornton at 17:21. We can try to act surprised when he wins the Rocket Richard Trophy. The Leafs then pressed for more, so they're ahead 2-1 going into the third period. Third period, early Leafs power play. Marner fired one high. Again, they're definitely distributing the puck well, but it's killed off. Montreal does kill off the penalty. It's not pretty, but it's unsuccessful. The Habs then get a power play of their own, and as they're waiting, as it's a delayed penalty, Sherratt was denied by Campbell, who again, to this point, having a very good game. Goalie pull with a minute and 45 seconds left. Campbell stopped a good chance for Sherratt yet again. Sherratt looking like an offensive defenseman. 1:06 left, the Habs call a timeout. Whatever they called that timeout to discuss works out pretty well, because Philippe Danault scores at 19:08 to tie it up. Less than a minute left in the third period. It's a tie game, and look out, because in overtime, Caulfield, it looked like, was looking for another. It really did. It looked right away. I'm like, okay, so Caulfield wants one. Marner and Matthews then had a 2-on-0, and it misfired. It just misfired. And yeah, I mean, you've already got a point. You're likely to finish first in your division. It would take a monumental collapse not to finish first, but still, you want to bury that one. Riley then defends on a Suzuki chance. However, Caulfield scores from Petrie and Suzuki at 4:43. And if you're on a phone, you can't see it. I put 2 exclamation points after Caulfield's name, because that means he's got 2 goals in his NHL career, and both of them are overtime winners. That's how you become a folk hero in Montreal. Overtime winners. Just ask John LeClair. Or Patrick Waugh in 93, and the fact that he won so many games in overtime. You become a hero pretty darn quick. 3 stars, Caulfield, Suzuki, and Matthews. No surprise on those 3 stars at all. Shots in this one, 11-10 Toronto in the first, 10-4 Toronto in the second, 8-6 Montreal in the third, 2-1 Toronto in the overtime. So final shots were 29-23 for Toronto, who dropped to 33-13-6. Montreal goes to 24-18-9, and this overtime win, combined with a loss we're about to discuss, means they're now tied for third in the division. Don't look now. This may not be your first round matchup. It may not happen. Power plays, Toronto goes 0 for 3, Montreal goes 1 for 4. That is part of the story out of tonight. Hits were 30-19 for Montreal, block shots 23-13 for Montreal. Jack Campbell saves 20 out of 23. Allen saves 27 out of 29. And if I had to wager right now, I would say it's going to be Toronto and Winnipeg in the first round and Edmonton and Montreal. I think that's where we're going to end up. And if Edmonton plays Montreal, that's the first time they've played each other since the first year I really paid attention to the playoffs, when Andy Moog upset the Montreal Canadiens, who had Guy Lafleur at the time. 99% sure they haven't met since then. So, yeah, that would be interesting, because a goaltender stole it from Lafleur. Could it happen the other way around? Could a Montreal goaltender steal it from McDavid? So, yeah, fascinating storyline if that ends up becoming the one. But for tonight, Montreal gets the win over Toronto, and they get a little bit of bragging rights there. All right, let's change boards. Don't worry, everybody. We're more than halfway home. All right, so Winnipeg and Ottawa. And I don't have a whole lot of notes on this game, because I can really kind of summarize it without the notes. Winnipeg couldn't score on the power play. That's your storyline. And in fact, Ottawa was pretty good at scoring on Winnipeg's power play, relatively speaking. So the shots were 6-2 for the Jets, 8.5 minutes in this game. They come out very well. Very, very well. That Gustafsson kid might be a good starter for the Ottawa Senators sooner rather than later. There are some options that Ottawa has in net right now that we may not have foreseen at the start of the year. And the idea of having Murray and Gustafsson as the tandem next year doesn't sound that crazy, does it? There was a power play for the Jets, and this is where it goes off the rails. Connor Brown, shorthanded. Stop me if you've heard this before. Connor Brown, shorthanded from Nick Paul at 11:31. And then they killed the rest off. Senators would get a power play before that period's out, but we go to the second with the Sens up 1-0. The Jets started with 1 minute and 55 seconds of power play time from a power play that started at 19:55 of the first period. So the Senators kill that off. And then they say, what else have you got? Another power play? We'll kill that off too. In fact, it becomes a 4-on-4. So that's all killed off. So now what? Another Jets power play, that's what. No problem, say the Senators. And then in the last minute, the Sens had a power play. So we go to the third period. It's Jets can't score on the power play. And it's so weird to watch Toronto and Winnipeg. Oh, if they're in the first round against each other, which power play scores, right? So the shots were 2-1 for the Senators at 2.5 minutes. And it looked like they were just going to kind of just drag this one over the finish line. But Josh Morrissey scores from Pionk and Wheeler at 9:46. And throughout the second half of this period, it seemed like, well, maybe the Jets are at least going to get a point out of this and, manage to keep themselves a little bit ahead of Montreal. No. Nikita Zaitsev, of all people, scores from Batherson and Brown. I only say out of all people because you wouldn't expect Zaitsev to get a game winner. He scores at 18:47. So they pull the goalie, but nope. Ottawa wins this one 2-1. They go to 20-27-5. They got 20 wins. So I'm wearing this jersey. 20 wins. And for the Jets, that's 7 regulation losses in a row. If you are not concerned about the Jets right now, I don't know what to tell you. They're 27-21-3. It's been weeks since they had a point, and they look like there's I don't know if this is just total confidence or what it is, but the 3 stars are Gustafsson, Connor Brown, and Morrissey. Shots 6 apiece in the first, 17-4 Winnipeg in the second, and then 8-6 Ottawa in the third. Final shots 29-18 for Winnipeg. Winnipeg goes 0 for 6 on the power play. I'll repeat. Winnipeg goes 0 for 6 on the power play. Ottawa 0 for 3. Hits 30-27 Ottawa. Block shots 20-10 for Ottawa. Brossoit saves 16 out of 18. Gustafsson 28 saves on 29 shots. He's pretty good. He's pretty good. And Ottawa's definitely ruining some days over the last month. So that continued tonight with that win. All right, next up. Anaheim and St. Louis. The Ducks are still the Ducks. They're the team that has trouble with shots and goals and offense. Zegras is definitely more comfortable right now than he was. So I've talked before about him getting sent down. They sent him down to get him some time at work at center, get him used to that, and then bring him back up. And it's worked out very well. Not that you can see it tonight, though, but even the Blues announcers were talking up how well Zegras was playing. The shots were 1-0 at 6 minutes in favor of the Blues. So this game did not start off as a barn burner. The Blues were the better team through about 12 minutes. In fact, the Ducks, with 6 minutes left, still had 0 shots on the board. They had one, and then they took that off the board. Like they went, that's the Ducks. We'll take it away. Quiet first period. No penalty minutes and 10 total shots. So very quiet first period, comparatively speaking, with the other game that's going on at the exact same time. I watched them about the same amount of time, and you can see, yeah. Second period, the Blues would press. Lundestrom would clear it. Blues then get the first power play of the game, and they score. Shen from Schwartz and Falk at 5:52. But that one goal lead doesn't last. Ryan Getzlaf at 6:17 ties it up. Blues would get another power play, not knowing that was their last one. It doesn't score. Ducks then get their first power play. It also was unsuccessful. Third period, Blues had some early pressure going on. And while that early pressure is going on, Bortuzzo scores his first of the season from Kyrou and Thomas at 2:13. That makes it 2-1 for St. Louis. Remember, Anaheim does have trouble scoring goals. So Gibson made some saves on Kyrou, and that was after there was a post for Sanford. As, the Blues really wanted the win here tonight. They really did. Things get scrummy at the Ducks net. Fowler gets hurt. He exits the game at that stage. The shots were 7-2 in favor of the Blues 7 minutes into that period. So again, a lot of opportunities directed at Gibson in the third. Shen had a chance that just wouldn't go. Ducks get a power play. That leads to a shorthanded chance for Shen. Gibson making the saves. In fact, the Blues penalty kill outchanced the power play of the Ducks. And I say that because the Ducks had no shots. And the Blues definitely had shots during that power play. So again, special teams that were the bane of the existence of St. Louis early in the season. Now, not so much. Not really a problem. It's a problem for all the teams that have been trying to catch him. It's not happening. So there was a press by the Blues with 5 minutes left. Carrick then collided with Binnington. The fans booed a lot about the collision with Binnington. Carrick just lost an edge. There was no viciousness to it. It was just he was trying to turn and he just lost an edge. And it's easy enough. I always wonder sometimes with players and how far down they get on their skates. How this doesn't happen more often. Because I know if I tried to lean that far over on a pair of skates, yeah, I'm sliding right into the boards. And I'm trying to explain to a medic what happened. And their answer is going to be, why would you try to do that? You're not Connor Carrick. So, yeah. Empty net miss then for Schwartz after the Ducks had pulled the goaltender. There was a timeout for Anaheim with 55.7 seconds left. However, St. Louis gets the empty netter at 19:51. It's O'Reilly from Perron and Falk. That's your 3-1 goal. That's your final. St. Louis goes to 24-19-7. Anaheim 16-30-7. And this is what I wanted to see. A team wanting to finish fourth. A team pushing to finish fourth. And we've seen that with St. Louis over the last 3 weeks. 3 stars, Shen, Thomas, and Bortuzzo. If you want to say it's because I made a video about how they weren't playing well, sure. All right, cool. Shots, 8-3 St. Louis in the first, 10-8 St. Louis in the second, 14-9 St. Louis in the third. Final shots, 32-20 for the Blues. Power plays, Anaheim 0 for 2, St. Louis 1 for 2. Hits, 15-14 for Anaheim. Block shots, 15-11 St. Louis. Gibson saves 29 out of 31. Binnington saved 19 out of 20. Only reason this one's close is because Gibson was darn good. But hey, St. Louis wins. All right, moving on. The other jersey I thought about wearing tonight was Minnesota's. Because, you know, it's weird. These things shouldn't be happening towards the end of the regular season. You're not supposed to be relying on comeback victories. And Minnesota's kind of getting where they're good at this. I don't know. I'm not going to say necessarily that somebody showed them a Hollywood movie and they went, can we do that in a game? No, you can't rely on miracle comebacks. But look how exciting this is in a movie. Can we do that every night? No. All right. The Wild would press at 2.5 minutes. Leonard making some saves. And then Eriksson Ek scores from Spurgeon at 3:36. Vegas would try to answer, and Vegas did answer. They scored. It was challenged for goalie interference. And I thought it was 50-50. Guess what? It counts. So Theodore gets that from Stone at 4:29, and that means Vegas goes to the power play. And you know they're going to score on it, and they do. Martinez from Smith and Carlson at 6:05, so it's all of a sudden 2-1. However, Minnesota, to their credit, they come back. Bonino from Dumba and Brodin at 7:48. The Wild then pressed for the lead. Before the period's out, however, Tuck scores from Krebs at 12:20. That is the first NHL point for Peyton Krebs, and it is an assist on an Alex Tuck goal. So there were late chances for Vegas, and this was some pond hockey going on. This was some 80s level defense. It was just major chances both ways. And so you go to the second period thinking, is it going to be this way in the second? I don't know what was said in between the first and the second, but it didn't start out the way the first ended. The shots were 4-0 for the Wild at 3.5 minutes. So they were doing their best to keep Vegas off the board. However, at 6:48, they don't. Stone scores from Stevenson. The Wild would then get a power play, and it scores. Remember when Minnesota's power play sucks? They don't. Bonino scores from Spurgeon and Parisov at 8:44. Yes, Parisov on the board tonight. Kirill the Thrill. Yeah. Then Marchessault scores from Martinez and Carlson at 16:04. So they would get close. They keep getting close, but Vegas is up 5-3. Then there was a scrum that gave Vegas a late power play. At the end of that power play, Foligno comes out of the box. He gets a break, and a nice toe save by Leonard keeps it out. It's 5-3 going into the third period. Best third period team in hockey, the Vegas Golden Knights. Throughout the season, that's been true. Tonight, that storyline really changes. And you have to ask yourself, going into the final meeting between these teams, what can we expect? Is it going to be a 1-0 shutdown type game, or is it going to be craziness like this? Remember, it's 5-3 Vegas going into the third. Tuck and Pietrangelo were stopped early. Those saves didn't feel like they were as important as they would later in the period. Shots were 4-1 for Vegas at 7 minutes. Minnesota does to Vegas what Vegas does to teams all the time. You rope-a-dope. They're not getting shots, nothing, not much of anything. And then all of a sudden you get to the second half of the period and bang, a light comes on. Vegas had a 2-on-1. Stevenson misses wide, but then just after the halfway mark, Fiala scores from Bonino and Rask at 10:49. 5:31 left. Delay of game call. Vegas gets a power play. You can see Dean Evason rolling his eyes at the bench. You can see that he is just great. That's it. You can see it in his face. Talbot denied Martinez. They killed off that penalty. Again, it feels like, well, at least it's close, but yeah, it's Vegas. 6-on-5. The Wild just couldn't bury it to tie it. They had the 6-on-5 for a while, and then they do bury it. Kaprizov from Fiala at 18:28, and he made it look easy, right? So it's 5-5. Okay, we're going to overtime. We're going to go to overtime. Brodin scores from Foligno 26 seconds later, 18:54. It's 6-5. Minnesota's doing to Vegas what Vegas has done to so many teams all year. Well, so many games all year. They only play 7 teams, right? 7 teams. So this feels weird because now Vegas gets to pull the goalie, and the announcers asked, and I'm not sure what the answer is, but how often is it that we see both teams pull the goaltender in the same game? So Minnesota gets the 6-on-5 goal again. They then score 5-on-5 to get the lead, and Vegas can't really set up. Vegas, so completely discombobulated by what's gone on, they lose 6-5. They drop to 36-13-2. Minnesota goes to 33-14-4 just to tighten up that race for first place. Colorado can give them a nice little gift basket. And, yeah, Minnesota wins. 3 stars, Brodin, Kaprizov, and Bonino. Shots 12-10 Minnesota in the first. Both teams had 11 shots in the second. Vegas outshot them 11-9 in the third. Final shots are 32 shots each. Power plays, Vegas 1 for 3, Minnesota 1 for 2. Hits, 22-17 for Minnesota. Block shots 10-7 for Minnesota. Leonard saves 26 out of 32. Talbot saves 27 out of 32. I have to say, those save percentages are low considering how many really good chances both goaltenders saved throughout this game. I think this was more damning of the defense than it is of the goaltending. But again, the goaltenders, when their save percentages are low like that, they do tend to take a lot of heat. But wow, that was some very unexpected comebackery by the Minnesota Wild. That's a word, don't look it up. So, yeah, very, very entertaining. And now we need to go to board number 4. So, this is the last time I'll need this board. When I do things up tomorrow and I'm putting all the logos back where they go, this board I'm actually going to take the tape off of it, clean it up, and then I can use that as a playoff series board. I'm going to need 8 boards for the playoff series, and so yeah, it's that bizarre time of year, and I will no longer need 4 boards for this year. This is the last day I'm going to need them. I will only need 3 on Saturday. So yeah, end of another season's coming. All right, LA and Arizona. The Kings, not really anything to play for other than making sure Arizona doesn't make the playoffs. And for Arizona, of course, making the playoffs is it's not going to happen. They were still within shouting distance of St. Louis, but St. Louis with games in hand and all that, and St. Louis just playing so much better than Arizona right now. Kemper would kick out an Anderson shot. In fact, Kemper was playing well. There was a rush chance for Roy that was stopped. Walker was denied. Every one of the first 3 shots by the Kings was an excellent shot from in close. The shots were 8-1 for the Kings at the half, and I thought this was Kemper's best game since his return from injury. And then Dvorak. Very often this will happen, where the team that's been outplayed throughout the period all of a sudden gets the lead. Krause and Fisher with the assists on the Dvorak goal at 17 minutes and 10 seconds. But 35 seconds later, it's Moore getting a goal from Byfield. That's Byfield's first NHL point. Good on him. Byfield's going to be a good player. Last minute, the Coyotes get a power play. That leads over into the second, and they score on it. It's Chychrun from Garland and Goligoski at 53 seconds. That makes it 2-1 in favor of Arizona, a team that to this point in the game didn't really deserve to be up 2-1. Then there was too many Kings on the ice. The Coyotes get a power play. The Kings would kill that off. And then Kopitar scores from Kempe and Brown at 7 minutes and 40 seconds. That ties it up. Quick then denied Kessel. The Kings would get a power play and they would score on it. It's Iafallo on the power play from Doughty and Kopitar at 13:40. So Kopitar with a goal and an assist in that second period. Quick, really sharp in the final minute. And that's where it's weird. He was a very sharp goaltender in that final minute of that period. So when we start the third, who's in net? Cal Peterson's in net. And they're saying it's an upper body injury that took out Quick. I didn't see where it happened. I didn't see, and the fact that I'm saying in the final minute of the period, I thought he made some nice saves. I didn't see that anything was wrong with him. I didn't see that there was a time where he necessarily got knocked down in a horrible manner that, that messed up his shoulder or anything like that. So strange. And the Kings would then press at 4 minutes, and they pressed to the point where they did get a power play out of it. The Coyotes would kill that off, and the Kings, you could tell early on in this period, they were just trying to kill the clock. Get the puck, rag it behind your net, the safe outlet passes, get the zone, dump it in if you have to. If you can carry it over, fine. Just don't give them anything to the inside. Don't give them a fast break. Just shut them down as well as you can. Now, there were a lot of shots by Arizona. I don't know how many of them were really dangerous shots, but Peterson was up to the task in the third period of this. The Arizona Coyotes would pull the goaltender with 2 minutes and 10 seconds left, and opportunities were there, but they just could not get the tying goal. The LA Kings win this one 3-2 in Arizona. They go to 20, 24, and 6. Arizona drops to 22, 25, and 6. Your 3 stars, Kopitar, Chychrun, and Iafallo. Shots, almost all LA in the first, 14-6. And then Arizona takes over from there, 13-7 in the second, 15-4 in the third. Final shots, 34-25 for Arizona. But it didn't feel like Arizona was going to tie this. Power plays, both teams go 1 for 2. Hits were 35-29 for LA. Block shots were an are you kidding me? 12-1 for LA. 1. That can't be accurate. It can't be accurate that Arizona blocked 1 shot in the entire game. That can't be accurate. 12-1. Quick, 15. You would think accidentally they'd block 2. Quick, 15 saves on 17 shots. His night's over. And Peterson saves all 15 shots in relief. surprising relief. Kemper saves 22 out of 25 from the Arizona net and takes the loss. So yeah, Arizona, it's done. Fourth place, St. Louis. And I don't think they're going to be an easy out in the first round. I think St. Louis is going to be tough in that first round. So who's going to get them? Well, it won't be Edmonton. But Edmonton clinched themselves a playoff spot with a win tonight. We knew this was coming. It's not a surprise. What is a bit of a surprise is just how far Winnipeg's fallen off, and that it might be Edmonton and Montreal. So early chances for the Canucks. This seems to be the case. The Canucks get the early chances, and then it just kind of peters out for them. Holtby stopped a Kulikov shot, but Puljujarvi scores a goal from McDavid and Draisaitl at 3:41. So McDavid's on the board. He's going to be on the board a lot. Barrie misses one wide, and then it's Schmidt. He scores from Miller and Höglander at 13:04. I will say Nate Schmidt, as the season's gone along, he's looked better and better as a Canucks defenseman. I do hope that he's still a Canucks defenseman next year, and that with an 82-game schedule and a normal season that he gets a chance to show what he can do. The McDavid line then tried to answer, which was basically the story of the night. But we go to the second period, 18 seconds. A puck that kind of goes off of Edler's skate, ends up on Barry's stick, goes into the back of the net. Puljujarvi and McDavid with the assists at 18 seconds. Yes, Connor McDavid with 2 points already on the night. The Canucks then try to answer. The Oilers would get a power play. That was unsuccessful. The Canucks would get a power play. That was unsuccessful. Kulikov fired one wide. The Oilers would press. And McDavid, unassisted, at 16:35 gets his 30th goal of the season to go with 60 assists. He has 90 points. He's going to get 100. The uphill climb that I saw for him like 2 weeks ago, he's going to get it. JT Miller would answer, though, at 17:16. It was a really nice goal by Miller, but 2 minutes later, Cahoon answers with a nice goal of his own from Kulikov and Nugent Hopkins. So at 19:16, that makes it 4-2 for the Oilers. I know the Canucks weren't winning this game, but at least there was some fight in them. Third period, the Canucks would press at 2 minutes. However, they weren't getting enough shots through. The shots were 5-1 for the Oilers at 6 minutes. Draisaitl nearly gets one. No pressure by the Canucks offensively, and they needed to be able to get pressure offensively. They just weren't getting it. 8 minutes left. There was only one shot for the Vancouver Canucks. They would get some shots later on, though. Myers then crashed into the boards. Seemed to be okay, but it's one of those things where we'd rather not lose Myers. There were 8 players out of the lineup for Vancouver tonight. I guarantee there'll be probably 9 or 10 next game, which is tomorrow, right? Boyd then had a tip. Koskinen made the save. Brock Besser would score from Horvat, however, at 16:33 to make it interesting. And I got to do the little Brock Besser, although I wasn't nearly as exuberant as I normally am about my Brock Besser dance. Then there's the goalie pull with 2 minutes left. That allows McDavid to get another goal to go with his 2 assists. He has 2 goals and 2 assists. 91 points. He only needs 9 now to reach 100. Draisaitl and Kara with the assists at 19 minutes. I was surprised at Draisaitl. I thought Archibald was, but all right. Draisaitl and Kara it is. And your final score is 5-3. This is the first of 4 in a row between these two teams. Yeah, Canuck fans, it's going to get worse. 19-24-3 for the Canucks. 31-17-2 for Edmonton. McDavid, Miller, and Barrie are the 3 stars. Shots, 10 apiece in the first, and then, again, the Canucks don't outshoot teams from there. 11-5 Edmonton in the second, 11-7 Edmonton in the third. Final shots, 32-22 for Edmonton. Both teams 0 for 1 on the power play. Hits, 19-13 for Vancouver. Both teams had 17 blocked shots. Koskinen, 20 saves out of 23 20 saves on 23 shots. And Holtby, 27 saves on 31 shots for the Canucks. So, yeah, it's done, and it's not getting better. I don't anticipate it getting any better either. But at least it was 5-3 instead of the 7-1 that I thought we might get. Maybe the 7-1 is going to be tomorrow. All right, next up, Colorado. I need to put the score on this one too. I totally forgot. And there was a power rankings problem too, which I think is probably part of the reason why this one's got the score, didn't have the score on it. And also, I don't have up top, let me just fix that, overtime. So the problem I had was that if Colorado had lost this game, I'm like, okay, so they kind of have to drop down the power rankings, but who do they drop behind and what do I do? And I was thinking about, how do I do, and it doesn't matter. It ends up not mattering in the end because they come back. Kane scores at 3 minutes and 20 seconds. Evander Kane having a very good season. In and amongst all of the other talk about whatever other issues he may have off the ice, on the ice he's been excellent. Rantanen would tie it, though, from McKinnon and Landeskog at 5:38, and it was on a 1 face-off. And, yeah, Rantanen keeps up his amazing goal pace. He's on pace for 48 goals if it was an 82-game season. Fast break then for Gregor is defended. The Avs get a power play. That was a no. Jones stopped a McKinnon shot. And through one period, Jones had played really well. He kind of looked like he might be stealing it. Wouldn't stay that way. Second period, Hurdle scores at 1:57, and that was on a turnover. And it was like the third turnover the Avs had already had in that second period. So maybe don't have those. Grubauer then denied Burns, but Kane would score from Barabanov and Hurdle at 7:47. Barabanov is kind of playing really, really well for San Jose. This is the player that Toronto brought over, but he didn't play this way for Toronto. And then there was an ozone turnover. Or no, that was an ozone turnover that led to this. So, again, Colorado, the turnovers were killing them. So they turned over at the other end of the rink, and San Jose comes down and kills them with the fast break. The Avs then tried to answer. The Sharks were pressing at the half, though. So this is kind of a wow for me because it's 3-1 for the Sharks, and they look like they're ready to make it 4-1. Crossbar for Gregor. The Avs would get a power play. That was a no. It just didn't work for them tonight. They didn't score a power play goal tonight, which again seemed kind of odd. The Sharks then get a power play of their own. That led to a shorthanded chance for Nichushkin. We go to the third period, and it is 3-1 in favor of San Jose. In the third, though, it's Nichushkin from Burakovsky and Graves at 1:18. There was some debate about whether or not it was Burakovsky's or Nichushkin's. At the time I wrote it on the board, right up until the end of the game, it still said Nichushkin. That debate was still going on. It may go back to Burakovsky. It doesn't matter. Meyer would then score from Burns and Ferraro at 3:32. So that made it 4-2 in favor of San Jose. And again, I'm looking at this and going, so I guess San Jose is going to win this, and I guess, they're going to lose this opportunity to maybe gain ground on Vegas, and maybe this pulls Minnesota closer to them, and we get some kind of action there. But the Avs will get a power play, and while it didn't score, the Avs start to really take over this game in the third period. And I mean, just the momentum swing, San Jose didn't have an answer. Landeskog scores from McKinnon at 8:59. And then the Avs press for the tie with 9 minutes left. Jones robs McKinnon. But again, lots of pressure. Lots of pressure after that, before that, during that. And LeBanc then had a breakaway, which he ended up missing wide. He was pressured by, I think it was Burakovsky coming back that pressured him. Jones then stopped a chance for Taves, and then it's Kadri at 16:21. And it was a filthy top-shelf goal. Nothing Jones can do on that. It was a beautiful goal from almost an impossible angle. And it's Kadri's first goal in like 20-some games. Wow, you wouldn't know that by looking at that. But we end up going to overtime. The Avs controlled it right off the face-off, made it clear they were not getting out of here without 2 points, and they get them. Burakovsky scores again from Makar and Rantanen at 41 seconds. Colorado comes back and wins this one 5-4 in overtime. They go to 34-12-4. San Jose drops to 20-26-6. 3 stars, Burakovsky, Kane, and Barabanov. Shots, 13-5 Colorado in the first, 13-2 San Jose in the second. Yeah, second period was insane. Third period, 15-9 for Colorado as everything's made right in the universe again. And the only shot in overtime was for Colorado. The final shot's 31-27 for the Avs. Colorado 0 for 3 on the power play. San Jose 0 for 1. Hits, 22-13 San Jose. Blocked shots, 23-11 for San Jose. Grubauer saves 23 out of 27 at one end of the rink. And Jones saves 26 out of 31 at the other end of the rink. So there you go. 58 minutes. All done. And as soon as this posts, there'll be all the comments underneath about, hey, you missed all this. Yep. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video because this channel just passed 188,000 subscribers, and that feels pretty good. And now I got to go drink like a gallon of something because my throat's just dead. All right. Thank you guys for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.